Welcome back to the Draft Ranking Show. I'm Cody Carpentier, and today we're going to continue looking at positional number ones at value in 2025 seasonal drafts. We've done running back and wide receiver over the course of the last couple of weeks here in the Draft Rankings podcast on YouTube and on podcast. If you're looking for it, please just go whichever version, running back or podcast or YouTube, whichever you prefer. It's up each of the last couple of weeks. Today we're going to be talking about tight end ones that can be had at the cheapest price in 2025 fantasy football leagues. First and foremost, I just want to say this. I kind of like the bargain bin at tight end. The Scott Fish Bowl kicked off today, Monday, July 7th, for those doing it online. And it's like 3.5 points PPR for tight ends. It's ridiculously maniacal. And Brock Bowers was like in my thoughts at 101. I took Bijan, but I thought about taking Bowers up there. And that's just kind of where it starts, right? In general leagues right now, Bowers is a second round pick. Him and Trey McBride are the clear cut second round picks at the tight end position, followed by George Kittle in the third or fourth round, Laporta at the start of the fifth, Hawkinson in the sixth, and then you drop down to the late seventh where you get Andrews, Kelsey, Jonnu Smith with the Steelers. That's kind of the order this year and how the tight end position is unfolding. If you don't want to pay up into that range, if you don't want to pay eighth, ninth round prices for Njoku, Ingram, Kraft, I don't. I like Kraft. I think Njoku's going to be fine in Cleveland. I don't want to pay that price. So if I'm not going all the way up and getting to Bowers or McBride, I tend to fall to the Kyle Pitts area in the 13th round. But what we're looking for is the cheapest tight end ones this year. I thought Mason Taylor might be in this conversation. He's actually in round 17 right now with Dalton Schultz, Chika Okonkwo, and Jatavian Sanders. These guys on ADP, they're actually getting drafted. Not a lot, but they're getting drafted on certain platforms, Yahoo, Underdog, to name a few, where those four players are getting drafted. On other platforms like FFPC, ESPN, they're not getting drafted because it's just simply too many rounds. The cheapest tight end ones, though, across the NFL right now is Juwan Jennings, Juwan Johnson, New Orleans, Theo Johnson, the Giants, Noah Fant in Seattle, Darren Waller in Miami, obviously, Tyler Conklin with the Chargers, and Tyler Higbee with the Rams. A couple of these are very interesting to me because when I think of a couple of these situations, namely think of Higbee with the Rams, you go, all right, well, if we look at what Tyler Higbee has given you the last, I don't know, not couple of years because he got banged up last year, but what Tyler Higbee's given you when he's been healthy, which he's now going to be in his age 32 season. 2 years ago, he had 47 catches on 70 targets, almost 500 yards, 2 touchdowns. The year before that, 620 yards, 3 touchdowns on 72 receptions. Higbee can be good. Problem, they paid Colby Parkinson. And they drafted Terrence Ferguson in the second round from Oregon. Very talented tight end. I think it's probably sound that Tyler Higbee's down here in the bottom 6 at the position. Probably going to stay away from Tyler Higbee. He's not getting drafted again. None of these guys are really being drafted. That's why we're talking about them. Tyler Conklin with the Los Angeles Chargers, I think, is interesting for a multitude of reasons because when you look at that positional room, we heard some stuff about Oronde Gadsden from Syracuse having potentially taken a step in minicamp. We'll see what happens during training camp. And the Charger room is – so Conklin spent the last 3 years with the Jets, 4 years before that with Minnesota. Conklin is – he's been floated out there in some videos on X. I think Conklin's very interesting. And when you look at this Chargers offense, and when they brought in Mike Williams, they brought back Mike Williams, they got Ladd, they got Quentin Johnson. Everybody knows that. The Chargers have 167 vacated targets right now, which is good for, where's that rank? 6th? 3, 6, it's 8th. 167 vacated targets, which is good for 8th in the NFL this year. 10 inside the 10-yard line, 36 from the tight end position. That's 33% of that number. Over 1,500 air yards. I think Conklin's interesting. I want to see some more during training camp. Again, he's entering year 8, age 30 season. Very athletic. I think when you look at the Chargers, just straight up receiving options, Conklin doesn't like he's not the bottom of the list. Like I said, Lad McConkey. All right, now where do we go from here? They drafted the second round pick in Trey Harris from Ole Miss. We like him. Keandre Lambert Smith in the fifth round. We like him, but it's a fifth round pick. Quentin Johnston, they like him. They say they like him, but they brought in Mike Williams, who can't stay healthy. You could tell yourself a story that the 2B, like 2A, 2B is like Quentin Johnston / Tyler Conklin early on. Mike Williams should probably just get written in above Quentin Johnston and Tyler Conklin early on. But so we could say 3A, 3B is Quentin Johnston and Tyler Conklin. But it wouldn't shock me if we're through training camp and Conklin's getting peppered. So I like Conklin. Speaking of the cheapest tight end ones, Darren Waller. Again, I got people tweeting at me and writing at me on shows because I brought up Darren Waller on a podcast. Like, Darren Waller retired June 2024. He played in the season 2023. He didn't play in the season 2024. He's going to play week 1, 2025. He only missed one season. He's healthy. Like, that's what you want out of a tight end that's turning 32, 33 years old. He's 32 and a half, they're going to turn 33 this fall. I think Darren Waller's interesting when you look at the Miami room. It's Waddle and Hill. Waddle's been great. Hill's been great. He's kind of regressed a little bit. We'll see what happens there. Waller's a big target. And I think you're going to get at least, a good couple of weeks to begin the season out of Waller where it's going to be respectable. So I don't mind Waller. I'm not drafting Waller off the bit, but if I have my draft and then I see late August that Waller's really ramping up, I have no problem adding Waller. Interesting one here is Seattle, Noah Fant, Elijah Arroyo. Neither getting drafted. I love Arroyo coming out of college. We'll see what happens with Arroyo in training camp with Fant. Don't think either of these options are really that great. Sam Darnold last year in Minnesota didn't really have TJ Hawkinson healthy all year. So he's playing with Josh Oliver, but he did target these guys in the red zone. Theo Johnson. I love Theo Johnson, not only because Theo Johnson is a plus athlete, very athletic. You look at the Giants, who, when you look at it from like a vacated targets perspective, I don't think there's very many in the Giants. I think they're like 2 vacated targets, literally fifth least. Obviously, Buccaneers 0, Cardinals 0, Packers 1, Falcons 1, and the Giants have 2 vacated targets in the year 2025. But they get a quarterback upgrade to Russ or to Dart, whatever, and it's Wan'Dale Robinson, it's Malik Neighbors. Like, those are the only real weapons, the real targets in New York. If I told you a story where we come around to week 8 and Theo Johnson is, 6 touchdowns deep into a season and he's currently sitting at tight end 8 on the year, you'd be like, well, that wouldn't completely shock me. He's just a rookie last year. Like, it's a second or third year tight end breakout out of Penn State, 6'6", 265 pounds. I could tell you that story and you could believe it. I think I like Theo Johnson this year. So I like Tyler Conklin. I like Theo Johnson. And then I also have a question of why Juwan Johnson is he's literally free right now, coming off a 50-catch, 548-yard season, 3 touchdowns. There's, like, when you talk about lack of weaponry, you go to New Orleans and you look at lack of weaponry in New Orleans right now, it's Chris Olave. Yeah, Rashid Shaheed should be back and should be healthier. Brandon Cooks, he's been in the league for 11 years now. Like, Juwan Johnson should have no problem replicating what he has each of the last 3 seasons. 65, 59, 66 targets. If he plays a full season, 65 to 75 targets, without a doubt, is in question. And he should be the number 2 option in the passing game. Obviously, number 3 if you continue to count Alvin Kamara in that conversation. I love Juwan Johnson, and if I'm shipping tight end all the way to the last round, I have no problem with Juwan Johnson, and I would rank these 3 as the cheapest tight ends in 2025. Juwan Johnson, Tyler Conklin, and the one and the only, the second-year breakout, Theo Johnson.